Hello, happy trails. I'm gonna try my first and possibly last ever gear review video. So here I am on a hike. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know that I just recently bought some much needed new hiking shoes. And check them out. On this episode of Adventures with Erin and Carly, we go out for a couple of day hikes and test out my new gear. Some flashy red hiking shoes from Altra Lone Peaks 4.5s. Come join along as I lace up and head on trail while I give you my first impressions, the pros and the cons after the first 20 miles. Do note, this is not a sponsorship. I simply wanted to share my findings while trying to make a gear review video. So stay tuned as I elaborate on the key aspects of what makes these shoes unique, including a wider toe box and a more natural foot position. And something they didn't mention on the shoebox, and one of which I think Altra is seriously underplaying, the ability to karate chop a tree? We're Erin and Carly, desk monkeys by day, outdoor junkies, and in the in-between. In a previous life, Erin served in the military, and I spent 14 years in public education as a high school counselor. But these days, we're busy making tracks and following life's trails to live more fully and intentionally. Adventure with Affinity Forest as we explore the outdoors, give back to our communities, and learn that life truly is better when you're off the grid. Erin's at home working on a project. Erin, if you don't know already, is very techie, computer oriented, all things speakers and computers and technology. So he's at home doing that. So I thought today would be a good day to try out my new hiking shoes. Dun dun dun! The Altra Lone Peaks 4.5s. The description online describes these as a hiking shoe with some trail-tested upgrades from prior versions. Specifically, trimmed down for more flexibility and comfort, lightweight rock protection, and a multi-directional lug pattern for traction on any terrain. Yes, let's go hiking! So why the new shoes? I've gone through a few reiterations of my choice in hiking shoes. Before I started getting serious and into more long-distance overnight backpacking trip type hikes, I was hiking my day trips in a beefy, ankle-supporting, dusty-colored, rugged Columbia shoe that I was just certain was the way to go. But as I made preparations for my first multi-day backpacking trip, so exciting, I held steadfast to these shoes, insisting, despite others warning me, that these were the optimum shoes that I should walk in for multiple days on trail in the wilderness. I love old pictures of my packing for long distance. Seriously, 2 full rolls of toilet paper? It was my first backpacking trip, and I am nothing if not overprepared. But that was a lot of stuff, right? Let's look at that again. Anyway, what an amazing trip that was, despite my poor choice in footwear. I saw amazing beauty. Being in the wilderness for 5 days is so cleansing for the soul. And despite my poor choice in footwear, I got to experience amazing beauty with amazing people. Beautiful experiences like this always leave an imprint on my being. This was one of the kind that really opened up and deepened my understanding of what kind of life adventures there are to be had out there. Places I had dreamt about but never fully experienced. Places I had chased on my short day hikes. But there I was, finally, out, in it. Ripping thunderstorms. Deep lakes, snow-capped mountains, lava rock fields, volcanoes, fields of wildflowers, creek beds, and a ribbon of trails stretched out beautifully before me. And it left me wanting more. Anytime after this trip, if I even get a whiff of the piney scent of a wilderness area, or find myself standing near some high mountain wildflowers that only the height of July can bring, for a moment I'll be transported right back, standing there accomplished on a mountain, surrounded by lakes, wildflowers, and the people that walked that journey with me. Gear review video. Stay on point. Okay, less warm and fuzzy, more technical, informational gear review video stuffs. Less heart and soul, more facts and information. I may not be cut out for these technical videos, but nevertheless, here we find ourselves mid-YouTube video. Bear with me, dear watcher. So where was I? Oh yes, packing the wrong hiking shoes for this trip. Why was I so insistent on taking these ill-fitting shoes on that trip? I'll never know. Perhaps I was influenced by the book and movie Wild with those beefy red lace shoes on the front cover. Perhaps my shoes hadn't steered me wrong before on my short day hikes. Or perhaps the ruggedness of these shoes calmed my nerves about my first 40-plus mile through hike in the wilderness. Whatever the reason, here's a pro tip. While these Columbias do serve their purpose for ankle support, they did not help me one bit on this particular hike. Trust me. Don't hike with big, beefy shoes. You'll be tempted. I know I was. But I ended up with so many blisters. And not just your, hiking will give you a blister or two. These were serious ones that caused the entirety of my legs to throb for days afterward and left me wishing for crutches to get around. Perhaps they were a size too small, especially when paired with those thick, warm socks I was sporting on that trip. That most likely only aggravated the problem further, but as my hiking mates had insisted and what I saw on trail, most PCTers were sporting minimal trail runner type shoes. Oh, a PCTer is a long distance hiker on the Pacific Crest Trail hiking from Mexico to Canada, 2,650 miles. As these hikers sailed swiftly past me, headed northbound, I longed for their minimal, lightweight, breathable, and flexible shoes while I was wincing and hobbling southbound on mashed potato feet. But warning, these minimal trail runner type hiking shoes will come with less ankle support. But if you've got strong ankles and are not planning to hike across giant boulders and such that would require such ankle support, you'll be glad you left those beefy shoes at home. So immediately after this hike, and when I was mostly able to walk normally again, I hobbled out and purchased Hiking Shoe 2.0, these super slick Salomon X Missions. I have hiked so many amazing miles in these since 2015. They have taken me to the sacred redwoods of Northern California, early sunrise hikes with good friends, remote lakeside campsites with Bella Dog on the 4th of July's, chasing stormy summer rain clouds, so many sunsets, and swing sets at sunset, my favorite place in Eugene. It was in these shoes that I first found myself following this guy on trail. I stood in them before, next to, and behind so many waterfalls. And I was standing in them when I found my balance. 2015 to 2020 really were some years of significant growth for me, and these shoes carried me through it all. And trekking across haphazard log crossings. Hey, don't make fun of my log crossing method. Sometimes you just lose your balance, but you get right back up. And before discovering appropriate mountain biking shoes, another video? These Solomons even pedaled me up and down many miles of mountain bike trails. Yeah, these shoes served me well, but 5 years and it was time for a new shoe. Almost went Solomon again, but have no complaints about them, but ultimately was drawn in by the natural foot approach of the Altra Lone Peaks. After much research, I finally made the decision to try something new and ordered the Altras from a local running store in town, and then waited patiently for them to come in. Finally, the store called, and it was new shoe day. I hurried over to pick them up and then hit a local trail to try them out. What are the pros of the Altra Lone Peaks? First off, I'd like to talk about the non-functional awesomeness aspects of these shoes. First of all, check out that view. I mean, what? Where am I? It's beautiful here. Okay, the color. Awesome red. Just call me Ronald McDonald. When it comes to my outdoor gear, I must love red. My mountain bike is red, my old Solomons are red, heck, even Aaron is a redhead. I guess I like the way the color pops on trail against the brown dirt, the green trees, and the blue lakes and rivers. The next non-functional aspect of them is you can dance in them. The soles of these shoes are designed to provide a lot of grip for those loose gravel days, but also I super appreciate the bear claw design on the bottom. Form and function. Gives a new meaning to beast mode knowing you are leaving bear claw prints wherever you hike. Nice touch, Altra. My spirit animal has really come alive on trail these days. Bikeability. Another feature not important to many, but of course to me, and I know the biking folks will understand. They handled great on my bike when biking to a trailhead. Karate chop action. But seriously though, these shoes are amazing. They didn't mention that you can literally karate chop a tree. Check this out. Alright, just kidding. But seriously, the actual reviews are as follows. One of the main true features of the shoe is the wider toe box. As Altra describes it, the traditional running shoe features pointy toe boxes that squeeze the toes out of their natural position. Altra's foot-shaped toe box allows the toes to relax and spread out naturally and the big toe to remain in a straight position. And may I speak for my two big piggies for a moment and say, so far, they love this extra room. Especially my one piggy with the bunion, a slight protruding of a toe bone. It looks small, but hurts so big when squished. The second biggest selling point of these shoes is the low drop. This, in my opinion, the most unique thing about this brand. A more natural foot setting than the altered shoes of present day. Most outdoor shoes have an angle to them that results in your heel being lifted off the ground like a mini outdoor high heel. And much like many attempts of modernization and shortcuts like microwaves and fast food and drive-thrus, the 3-minute workout, like what is that? But we have also essentially messed up our feet by being modern. As Altra describes it, most running shoes feature elevated heels that promote poor form by encouraging high-impact overstriding. We were born without an elevated heel, and Altra allows you to maintain a natural foot position throughout your run. In this picture here, you can see how the Altra shoe features a balanced cushion platform that places the heel and the forefoot the same distance from the ground. This naturally aligns the feet, back, and body posture and encourages a low-impact landing. To be honest, I was skeptical at first, but so far my feet and calf muscles seem to be adjusting just fine. In fact, I'm currently thinking about getting a second pair just for wearing in daily life. Lastly, these shoes are very lightweight. This is great not only for long hikes to not be dragging heavy things attached to your feet, but also helps with the trail dancing and leaping. Hello again. It's a different day. Aaron said let's go for a hike. So day 2 of trying out the new shoes. So it's been about 2 weeks since my first hike in these shoes. I've been doing too much mountain biking, and these shoes had to sit and wait patiently in the closet. So what are the cons of the Altra Lone Peaks? As with anything, you should provide some constructive criticism. My biggest issue thus far has been some slight rubbing on my back heels. My only con so far that I've noticed is I've already had to pick out rocks from my back ankles. And I think that's because they really want you to wear gaiters. These shoes, they come with these little hooks, eyelet things, and then apparently you cover it all so that rocks cannot get in. So I can't knock it for that. I will try them next time with those on and report back. Cue the ET. Ouch. Problem solved. This just in. This issue has been resolved by wearing just slightly taller hiking socks. Gaiters not required. Another con could be ankle support. This is not an issue for me, but as mentioned previously, consider your own needs and the condition of the trail you are headed out on to determine if you may need more ankle support than these shoes provide. Altra does make a beefier, more ankle-supporting shoe called the Lone Peak 4 Mid. Another con could be that you may not adjust well to the low drop. Let's sit down and have a chat about that for a sec. This is also not an issue for me, but as one reviewer mentioned, after my second 15-miler over rocky terrain, my bottoms of my feet were a bit sore. Would like more cushioning. I myself was concerned about this too, but so far so good. My first hike at 4 miles went okay, and the second hike at 8 miles with Aaron still good. We'll report back after my first longer distance hike, but I'm optimistic. Bottom line though, everyone's needs will be different, so you must consider your own, which is why gear review videos are kind of rough to do. So there you have it, my pros and cons thus far after a few miles in these flashy reds. But more importantly than all this informational, technical hoo-ha, you may be asking yourself, where did your shoes take you and what did you see? Well, I'm glad you asked. The flowers were in full bloom since it was full July, and I don't know when it happened that I really started noticing flowers on the trail, yet here we are. Good job, flowers. I saw dragonflies flying around like little helicopters. Near a bog, loads of little bitty frogs hippity-hopping, and busy bumblebees. Chipmunks are chattering and giggling in the trees and off the side of the trail from unknown spots, or scurrying across the trail ahead of me, leaping across logs. I marveled at and listened to the trees that I passed by. This one spoke to me. I passed it once on my way out on an out-and-back hike, and on the way back I slowed and stopped before it. I listened carefully, and she whispered, "Bend, so you don't break." We encountered a few others out. We pass a few parking lots, day use areas, families out with their small kids, picnic tables. I saw some litter along the trail, Snickers bar wrappers, an empty 40-ounce soda fountain drink, and straw stuffed in a bush, among a few other things, and I tossed them in the trash. Trail etiquette tip. We educators call this a teachable moment. Pack it in, pack it out. People always say that, but what does it really mean? Well, it means simply if you pack it in with you on your hike, say you want to bring a Snickers bar and a 40-ounce soda with you on your hike, then those items will make it out with you on your hike as well, or at least make it to a trash can, instead of stuffed in a bush or left laying out like this. Bonus points for those that pick up trash they didn't pack in. Best to leave places better than when you found them. The vistas were amazing. This world is beautiful and needs to be seen and taken care of. However you can see it or take care of it. By foot, bike, boat, adaptive sport, plane, car, truck or van, motorcycle, or Red Ryder wagon if you're still only a 3-year-old. The outdoors are amazing, whether it's down your block or deep in a national forest like the sacred redwoods I visited in 2016. Final summary. Ultimately, any shoe that can get you outdoors is where you should start. Check back for an update in another couple 100 miles for an update on how these shoes hold up over the long haul. I had such an amazing journey in my last pair of hiking shoes that I simply cannot wait to see where these shoes will take me. In the end, it isn't about the shoes or the gear. It's about the experiences you had and the people you got to share those moments with that matter. Life is a journey, so hike on, my friends. We hope you enjoyed this episode as we headed out for a couple of day hikes and put some new hiking shoes to the test. See you on the next one, and until then, happy trails, friends. And remember, life is better when you're off-grid.